Do you think winter is all about white snow and cozy holidays? But within the bone-chilling cold and the endless darkness lurks something terrifying that no one ever expects. Footprints appear in the empty woods, eyes silently watching from a window, and a bathroom door that closes when no one's home. In tonight's video, you'll hear 3 real horror stories, the kind that haunt the people who live through them for life. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready to enter a winter not meant for the faint of heart. Story 1. The footprints around the cabin. Jenny and I weren't officially dating when she invited me to her family's cabin in Vermont, a tiny wooden home deep in the mountains right in the dead of winter. The drive took nearly 5 hours. By the time we turned off the main road onto the path to the cabin, it was already dusk. The road twisted through dense snow-covered trees, no other cars in sight. Jenny told me most cabins here belong to out-of-staters, empty all winter long. Slow down. It's here, she said, pointing to a barely visible path buried in snow. We switched to 4WD and pushed through the woods until the cabin appeared small, rustic, blanketed in snow, both cozy and eerie. We turned on the heat, brought in our bags, and spent the night watching movies. There was no running water, everything relied on bottled jugs, and no indoor bathroom, just an outhouse a short walk from the cabin. But that night I only needed a quick break and just stepped onto the front porch to take a leak into the snow. The next morning, snow was still falling. Before we headed to the ski resort, I went out to use the outhouse properly. That's when I noticed something strange: footprints. Not mine. Not Jenny's. They were larger, circled around the cabin, then vanished into the woods. I called Jenny outside. She shrugged, said it was probably a bear. There were many in the area, but I didn't buy that. Bears don't circle cabins at night, and the steps were too neat too, even like a person's. I let it go. Tried to enjoy the day. We skied it out, came home after dark. The wind howled. Snow kept falling. We lit the fire, turned on music, poured some drinks. The night was calm, until I felt the urge to go out again. I threw on a jacket and headed to the outhouse. As I closed the door behind me, I heard footsteps, crunching in the snow. Slow, measured, right outside. Jenny, I called. No reply. I pulled out my phone to text her, no signal. I froze, listening. The steps moved past the outhouse, then faded. When I stepped out, the world was pitch black, the cabin dark. Power out. No lights. I turned on my phone flashlight. New footprints in the snow leading to the front door, then curving around the side of the house. I ran, pounded on the door, yelling for Jenny. She flung it open, yanked me inside her face, pale. Someone knocked on the door, and it wasn't you. I locked it and turned off all the lights. I hid behind the chair and watched someone walk past the window. Slowly, staring in. She was shaking. She led me to a hidden compartment under the floor where her dad kept a few hunting rifles. I grabbed one, checked the chamber. We sat in the dark, waiting. Minutes crawled by. Then footsteps again. Louder this time. Closer. I stood up, threw the door open, and fired 3 warning shots into the air. Silence. No more steps. He was gone. Or maybe he was still out there waiting. The next morning, Jenny's dad called. You two should probably leave for a while. And we did, long before the snow melted. I'll never forget how she described those eyes, quiet, empty. Like they were just waiting for an opportunity. Story 2. The runner in the dark. I used to love snow. But after that winter, I never walked outside in it the same way again. That weekend, my family was heading to Cornwall to visit relatives. I didn't want to go, didn't get along with them, so I faked being sick. Surprisingly, my parents bought it and left me home alone. I was 16, old enough for them not to worry. I had a blast gaming, watching movies, playing in the snow with my dog. By nightfall, I got hungry. But everything in the house needed cooking, and I was lazy. So I grabbed some cash, threw on my jacket, and headed out to the nearby village to grab fish and chips. The route was a narrow forest path barely lit by a few scattered streetlights. I walked briskly through the darkness, reached the shop, got my food, and headed home the same way. That's when things went wrong. Halfway down the trail, holding the warm box in my hands, I heard it crack, a branch snapping to my right in the woods. I froze, looked around. Nothing but trees and snow. I told myself it was just a squirrel, or the wind. Then again, crack, crack. 2 more. Closer this time. I started walking faster. The darkest stretch was still ahead, where a streetlight had been out for years. As I stepped into the shadow, I heard footsteps, not cracking branches, running, in the snow. I turned around and my heart stopped. A dark figure was sprinting toward me, not yelling, not slowing, just charging straight at me. I screamed, dropped my food, and ran as fast as I could. Snow was deep, slick, freezing, but I didn't stop. I shot off the trail, ran across the yard, and fumbled for my keys at the door, feeling breath behind me. The door flew open. I slammed it shut and locked all 3 bolts. Silence. Outside, nothing. Just the empty trail. Snow falling gently like nothing ever happened. I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that shadow. Then around midnight, my dog started barking, fur raised, clawing at the back door, growling. I froze. I had entered through the front door, yet the footprints out back were clearly mine. But I hadn't gone that way. A chill swept over me. I turned the back door. Was open. I approached slowly. Outside, darkness. No one there. But something felt wrong. I pulled my dog back, locked the door, and returned to the living room. Something was gone. Then a soft noise. A thump. From upstairs. I froze. No one could be up there. I grabbed my phone and my dog bolted to the neighbor's house, pounded the door until they answered, and nearly cried from relief. The police came about an hour later. Snow had slowed them down. They searched the house. Nothing. Fresh snow had buried all tracks. But the neighbor's security camera was clear. It caught a man in a dark coat leaving my back door minutes after I fled, hopping the fence, disappearing into the woods. I never found out who he was, or how long he'd been watching. All I know is, he knew where I lived. Story 3. The man in my father's house. I'm 27 now. My mom passed away a few years ago. My dad, blind, lives alone in a ground-level flat near our village center, about 10 minutes from my place. Despite his blindness, he's independent, cooks, cleans, walks to the corner store. My sister Katie and I take turns helping with errands or doctor visits. That day was a brutal winter afternoon, heavy snow-gray skies, and the roads were nearly frozen. I was home alone. Katie was staying at her boyfriend's. I had a strange feeling, so I called Dad. He uses a landline because it's easier. No answer. I called again. And again. Nothing. He always picks up, especially during storms. I called Katie. She said he hadn't mentioned going out. Something felt wrong. Despite the blizzard, I drove to his apartment. On the porch, footprints in the snow, leading in and out. I knocked. Dad, it's me. No response. Just then, the neighbor Hannah opened her door and smiled. My husband just drove your dad to the market. He should be back soon. I thanked her. Then, out of instinct, I tried the door. It opened. I sighed. He forgot to lock it again. I stepped inside and something felt off. Wet snow prints stretched across the wooden floor from the door through the living room into the hallway. I called out again. Dad, I'm here. No answer. I followed the prince to his bedroom. Empty. But on the nightstand, his phone, still vibrating from my calls. He wasn't here, but someone had been. The prince led to the bathroom. The door was closed. Very unusual. Dad always leaves it open for orientation, even the shower curtain. I stood still, heart pounding. Dad, I called again. No sound. I reached for the handle and opened it. No one. But the shower curtain was drawn shut. I swallowed hard. Felt like something was holding its breath behind it. Instead of checking, I backed away, walked out the front door, called 911. I'm not stupid. Police arrived faster than I expected, even in the storm. I led them to Dad's room. The curtain was still shut, but on the bed, a man sat quietly, hands raised in the air. He didn't speak. 10 minutes later, my dad returned. He had no idea what happened. Just said Hannah told him her husband offered to take him shopping. Cops checked the man's ID. He lived in the next building. He knew my dad was blind. He knew he often forgot to lock the door. And he knew no one else was home. He wasn't armed, but inside his backpack, a knife rope and an empty duffel bag. My father, a blind man living alone, had narrowly escaped being a victim. We changed the locks that night, and I've never left him alone during winter again. Each story you've just heard is a chilling reminder. Sometimes the scariest things aren't what we see, but what we think isn't there. If you enjoyed these stories, please like and share to spread the chills. And if you've ever experienced something truly terrifying, leave your story in the comments. Maybe it'll be the next one told here. See you again on another cold, dark night.